Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this well-known Black female, track and field superstar, was arrested on domestic violenceness. But at the same time, no outrage, but also the excuses that were made for her. Yes, yes, yes. The insultingness of this. Because if this was a vice versa scenario and there was a Black American world champion, track and field superstar, and he put his hands on Sha'Carri Richardson at a Seattle airport with all those different cameras, with all those different people around, and he did that, his overall track and field career would be over. Yes. Yes. But of course, supremacy being the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed, that they are the masters of manipulation, just as white feminism demonic doctrine is the perpendicular masters of chameleon manipulation. See, the thing about it is the insulting, archaic, Donkey Kong dung, Billy Goat gruff, bad flavored milk, and a horse apple tail, or the archaic tropeness and the mantra of, oh my goodness, domestic violence, automatically it's assumed that it's the male that is the personnel that does domestic violence. Right? But at the same time, reality statistics show that numbers of women, the one this applies to, are just as violent and even more times more violent in the initial instigation of domestic violence scenarios. Not the other way around. But through chaotic chaos, right? Through master manipulation tactics, the same old last couple of generations of sitting there programmed majority masses, when we say domestic violence, it's, oh my goodness, we must protect women. We must protect Black women. But you're like, who's protecting men who are getting abused? Who's protecting those of Black males who are getting abused? Right? So Sha'Carri Richardson situation, she's a world-class superstar. Went through so much stuff, and whatever her demonic, internal demonic things that she's going through, right? And her grandmother has raised her up and stuff like that, right? Toughness. But it still does not negate the assaultiness of domestic violence that Sha'Carri Richardson did to her boyfriend. Now, he's a gullible simpleton, because I'm not going to show it on this particular podcast that he was making excuses for it, right? But I'm going to read an article on this situation, so it's not going to be a long podcast, but it is such a irritatingness that there's not enough males to say, this is ridiculous. How many numbers of males are domestic violence victims by women? And there's just not enough men to say they've had about enough of this one-sided misogynistic behavior and minimizing in various parts of main medianness. But it's not enough. And supremacists and Anglo feminists know this, and this is why they act like this. Yes. What was that again? Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and share my screen. It's not going to be a long show. Today is August the 5th, 2025. Let's see here. So right here. Make sure. Let me take that off here. Make sure take that off here. Okay, make sure the volume up. All right, good. All right. So, Sha'Carri Richardson arrested at Seattle airport on a domestic violence offense. Richardson, an Olympian silver medalist in the 100 meter, was arrested last weekend. She ran the opening round of the U.S. Track and Field Championship on Thursday. This article is on August 2nd, 2025. Reigning 100 meter world champion Sha'Carri Richardson was arrested last weekend on allegations. It's not allegations with reality, because if it was vice versa and her boyfriend, her simpleton, gullible boyfriend, did what she did to him, there is no allegations then. It's reality. It's we must protect women. We must protect black women. God. It is not enough guys to see through this. Golly. The allegations that she assaulted, domestically abused her boyfriend at the Seattle Tacoma International Airport. Richardson was arrested Sunday on a 4th-degree domestic violence offense, according to a police report obtained by this particular place. On Thursday, she ran in the opening round of the women's 100 meters at the U.S. Track and Field Championships in Eugene, Oregon. She has an automatic bye to the World Championships in September in Tokyo as a defending champion. Richardson, 25. And this kind of violence, domestic violence toward a boyfriend, she got some problems internally. And it don't sound like she's a bad person. She just got some turmoil going on with her, right? And she's not understanding how to sit there and get that under control, because she can be world-class, not just an external superstar, but she can have so many type of things going for her constructive, right? But she's battling her internal demons. And again, does not negate her domestic violence toward her boyfriend, because if it was vice versa, no one wants to hear anything about his turmoil, his internal demons. They only sit there and hear about, oh my goodness, Sha'Carri got beat down by her world-class black man boyfriend. We got to protect black women, right? See, God, this game is so easily seen through. Richardson, 25, was booked into the South Correctional Entity in Des Moines, Washington at 6:54 p.m. Sunday and released Monday at 1:13 p.m. U.S. ATF is aware of the reports and is not commenting on this matter. USA Track and Field said in a statement. Richardson agent did not immediately reply to an email request for comment. The Post report said an officer at the Seattle Airport, was notified by a transportation security administrator supervisor of a disturbance between Richardson and her boyfriend, sprinter Christian Gullible Simpleton Coleman. The officer reviewed camera footage and observed Richardson reach out with her left arm and grab Coleman's backpack and yank it away. According to the report, that's domestic violence. Oh my goodness, that little silly stuff. If it was a man did that, oh my goodness, violence against women. Oh my goodness. So go to Haiti, the ones who play that little tactic. But at the same time, you read a little further. It said then Richardson then appeared to get in Coleman's way, with Coleman trying to step around her, trying to get away from her. But nope. Coleman was shoved into a wall, the report said. The report later said Richardson appeared to throw an item at Coleman. Some more domestic violence that Sha'Carri did to her gullible simpleton boyfriend, which may have been headphones. In the Post report, the officer said he was told Coleman did not want to participate any further in the investigation and declined to be a victim. Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. If that had been vice versa, he would have not had a career after that. But so many men, so many numbers of black men who are victims of domestic violence sit there and allow these type of minimizing tactics to continue. And this is why collectively many males are not respected by numbers of women. They'll use them economically and anything else, but as far as true respect, they will not. But watch this for a second on this. Oh, no, well, let me play this. This right here, because remember that we must protect women. We must protect black women. Violence Against Women Act. Violence Against Women Act. And you say, wait a minute, various political personnel that's showing misogynistic behavior, right? And that, and there are some gullible, simpleton type guys as well in certain politicalness. You say, wait a minute, domestic abuse entities, right, who depend on bread and butter and little how many sleight of hand manipulation tactics to sit there and however people sit there and try to make sure the numbers are sleight of hand, where they're going to consistently make sure they're saying, oh my goodness, men doing this to women, domestic abusing, but they won't talk about the domestic abuse from males, from women to men, and they won't talk about statistically reality, not adjusted, slippery based foxiness type of billy goat tongue tail of mathematical inaccuracies that many probably try to do. But reality is that the majority of domestic abuse situations instigated by women. That's reality. So then when some males say, hey, and they reactionary, then it's bam, bam. Oh my goodness, see, males are more stronger than women. You see how the little game go, right? But the majority of the domestic violence situation instigation initially is by women. Majority of kicking in domestic violence situations are done by women. The majority of slapping in domestic violence situations is done by women. Right? The majority of kicking, again, in domestic violence situations is women. I'm talking about the women that do this. Right? But you're not going to hear these people talk about that part. Right? They'll try to play sleight of hand. Well, what about the women that are real? We're not going to play that because you sit there and sidetrack the reality about the very violent women who are sitting there doing these instigation initially being the majority of instigation of domestic abuse assailants toward men. See what I'm talking about? But let's just go with that for a second. How do they sit there and explain this? I did a show on this before. Actually, I did numerous shows on my podcast on the Real CP show on that, where one of the shows I did was just recent where there was an Anglo woman, a very violent Anglo woman, who, to make a long story short, her boyfriend or separated husband or whatever he was, they had a couple of kids, and he was picking up the kids, right? Because, that's minimized too, as if there's no single fathers or there's no sitting there responsible fathers to take care of kids, or if they act like, or people who don't know that actually, I don't want to go now, that's a whole different story. So he was picking up the kids at the daycare. The separated wife or ex of his, whatever she was, she showed up unexpectedly. She then went to talk to him, right? Unexpected, that's stalking. So, because he wasn't expecting that. And so as he was putting the kids into the car, she pulled out a boom, boom piece of equipment and pow, 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 shot him. So he's stumbling and fumbling and try to go into the daycare, right, with blood profusely going all kind of different places. And by the time the ambulance showed up and when he went to the hospital, he unfortunately became unalived. He became deceased. But you didn't hear too much about that, right? Another podcast I did where this demon, violent Hispanic woman, she had this particular Hispanic boyfriend or fiance, whatever it was, whatever they were staying at, but something was going on where she dismembered her boyfriend or fiance, dismembered him with like a chainsaw or some knives, just chopping them up. Another situation, another podcast I did where this particular Anglo woman, little drunkard, by the way, she had her little Hispanic boyfriend. I think he was like a real docile one. And some little games they were playing and stuff like that. So he got into his briefcase. I mean, not briefcase, his suitcase. He fit into the suitcase and she was kind of drunken and how they was doing stuff. And then she closed him up. But as he was kind of trying to say, get out, let me out of here, she started going off of him and she just went upstairs and whatever. And he sat there and became deceased in the briefcase. There's numerous examples of this domestic abuse situation. This right here is another one. This right here, what you see on the crosswalk, this is an Anglo male. At this particular store, on the top right side, this is a black man. He was with his girlfriend or fiance, whatever she was. They came out the store, or they got into some kind of argument, whatever, some little silly stuff that most people don't even remember what they argued about in the first place. So she went outside, all emotional, all turmoil, and she got in the vehicle. Now look at the right side. He's outside waiting for her. Uh-oh. 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 Bam! Oh, what's the excuse for that? Again, he's outside waiting for her. Uh-oh. Here we go. Bam! Uh-huh. Yes, this is a black woman inside of that minivan. Got into a super emotions, the one this applies to in this situation. The Anglo male's on the sidewalk. He got ran over by this violent black woman, right? And he became deceased. Now, the black guy survived, but all kind of messed up injuries. Now, if that would have been vice versa and the black man did that to her, or he, ran outside like a little dump crop because he got into an argument with his girlfriend and he got into a van and she was coming out and she was just waiting for him. And he did this. Bam! Oh, no. We must protect women. We must protect black women. Black women, the least protected, go to Haiti. That's a bunch of bull. But they won't talk about the numbers of black women who have vile hatred for black males, right? On many podcasts, trying to control black males left and right. They won't talk about their non-accountability, the one applies to. Right? Numbers of good black women, salute to them, but they're getting smaller and smaller because on the white feminism, they're sitting there destroying more and more modern day black women. Right? It's a purpose on that because numbers of women within the Panamese culture, they can't stand numbers of Anglo males. They despise them, right? But they use them a lot because many of them are very naive, but they get used because it's like on a hierarchical chain where they say, well, on the social chain, right, that numbers of males within Panamese culture will be on a higher chain. Well, what about the low economics, social economics, the dilapidated type of Anglo male? It doesn't matter. Under a social system, he is still looked at more in the caste system of Anglo-ness, even more than a rich black male. So go to heck with that stuff, right? But let me play this again. Black male comes outside from this store. On the top there, Anglo older male is on the crosswalk. The black male, he got into some little silly argument. Like how many people get in silly arguments don't have no idea after the fact why they argued on that. his fiance or girlfriend stormed out, all pissed off, whatever it is. She got into their vehicle. Look on the right side. Uh-oh. 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 Bam! Right? One last time. Black man waiting outside. His fiance, black woman, or girlfriend, she get in the vehicle. Bam! But see, you won't hear too much about that. Nope. Mm-mm. See, that's the little game. Let me sit there and share my screen again on this part. It's ridiculous that there's just not enough males, not enough black men that are domestic abuse victims and that just will not sit there and get tired of the minimization. And this is why however numbers of domestic abuse organization entities, they have no respect for numbers of males, the ones it applies to, which is many. Because many males will not stand up and say, this is ridiculous. There needs to be more conversation about domestic abuse victims being males, right? But of course, not really, because it's not going to happen overall. Because there's too many men that are afraid to sit there and say enough, right? So this right here, let me go ahead and play this. Let me make sure this is okay. All right, let me go ahead.
Well, it is time for Fresh Daily, your dose of trending topics.
Well, first, the top scoop of the day, a famous athlete arrested. Oh, this news breaks my heart. Olympian track star Sha'Carri Richardson, she was taken into custody and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence assault. So this comes after an alleged altercation. She was taken into custody and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence. She was taken into custody and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence. Sha'Carri Richardson, she was taken into custody and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence assault. So this comes after an alleged altercation with her boyfriend, who's a fellow runner, Christian Coleman. In this incident, it turned physical. The two, they were at the airport in Seattle. The two, they were at the airport in Seattle last Sunday and apparently got into a fight as they left security. Well, Richardson is accused of pushing him several times. They left security. Well, Richardson is accused of pushing him several times before he fell. Well, Richardson is accused of pushing him several times before he fell.
Now, if that would have been her simpleton, gullible boyfriend, and he did that at the airport, beside him being thrown down like he was a sack of potatoes, his career, and he's a world-class champion himself, which means nothing because he is a super gullible simpleton. And if he had did that to her, his career overall would be finished, right? But of course, in this system of supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, that they also utilize white feminists, which is also some of the most deadliest type of womanism out there. And they use numbers of modern day black women, many, right? Not the ones who understand, which is small, but they utilize many numbers of Black American women every day to sit there and do their bidding, right? To show hatred toward black males every day. And they really do think just sitting there mouthing off and with misogynistic behavior, like numbers of Anglo women do it to their males, right? Not on a wide scale like certain types of modern day black women, but numbers of black women. I'm talking about the ones that applies to now numbers of good ones. They really do think that black males still supposed to just tolerate this and still supposed to bow down and just do whatever they want to do. And I mean, the seriousness of demonicism in that, right? So they've done a work on top of many types of American black women's mindset, the ones applies to. Credit give to still some of the good ones out there.
And was released from jail this past Monday.
But at the same time, you know what? Let me play it one more time. Whoa, hold on. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Let me go back. It's not showing. Oh, okay. I almost messed up on that. Let me go back and reshare my screen. Let me go back and reshare my screen for a second because I want to read some comments. I almost forgot. I want to read some comments on this. I'll make sure you can see that. Okay.
Well, it is time for Fresh Daily, your dose of trending topics.
Well, first, the top scoop of the day: a famous athlete arrested. Oh, this news breaks my heart. Olympian track star Sha'Carri Richardson, she was taken into custody and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence assault. So this comes after an alleged altercation with her boyfriend, who's a fellow runner, Christian Coleman. In this incident, it turned physical. The two, they were at the airport in Seattle last Sunday and apparently got into a fight as they left security. Well, Richardson is accused of pushing him several times before he fell and was released from jail. Accused of pushing him several times before he fell. Accused of pushing him several times before he fell. Well, Richardson is accused of pushing him several times before he fell.
Again, if that would have been her gullible simpleton boyfriend, even though he's a world class track and field superstar, he is very naive and very gullible. Because the article I read earlier was talking about how, he didn't want to, basically press any kind of charges, however, on that part, but he don't want to be a victim. What? He don't want to be a victim. Okay. Let me sit there and show you something here. One of the things that's continuously done by various parts of main media and some other type of organizations and however people is they would also use cartoons and I don't go on all that too much, but this is a little animation, or not animation culture. This is just a few seconds of a clip. It's funny, but it's not funny whatsoever because I want you to keep this in mind. If this would have been a man who did this, let's keep that in mind. And by the way, look at his, sometimes you don't have to even say too much. Just look at his face. If he looks like some strong male, if he looks like a gullible simpleton type male as well. Now, be it he has a business or work, whatever he's doing, comes home, his wife probably, who can't stand his dang guts, right, really don't want to be around him, but they probably got a couple of kids. And when she was a younger adult, she probably was having all kind of sex left and right, getting ran through all many times, then complaining about men left and right. And then she got older. She said, "Oh, I'm getting older. I better, try to give me one of these little simps and stuff like that." And then blame other males and stuff like that she chose, bad men she chose to get with. So this little simpleton, gullible, super Forrest Gump type of guy, she put her claws in and watch what happened.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. Little man, I've had a busy day. I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear.
Now, imagine if that would have been vice versa. And there was a little cartoon clip of a man that was at home and he was taking care of the kids, which you're not going to see too much of that because there's an agenda to not show that, stuff like that. So the thing about it, if the woman came home and she's tired from whatever many business meetings and stuff like that, or she's been working hard all day, and a guy, he's taking care of home himself, and stuff like that. And so he comes home, or she comes home, and then he has the little bowling pin and stuff like that. Just imagine if he did this. Just change the characters. And imagine if that would have been vice versa.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. Little man, had a busy day.
Imagine if he would
You
have
little
did that to
present.
her.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear.
I'm telling you, but again, this is what again supremacists do, and this is what basically white feminists do when they know that so many males are very gullible and will not sit there and stand strong against this one-sided misogynistic behavior in various parts of society, who has a hatred of telling the truth about domestic violence being instigated by the majority of women. Yes. Now, last thing I want. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I want to show something else. I don't know if I'll do that. Now, one thing I want to also show is that in this society of demonicism in various parts, it has already a super ingrained hatred of Black Americans, regardless, especially Black American males. That's been going on for centuries, right? And just less than 100 years ago, that Black men and Black women had to stay together collectively, right? Because so much hatred that was going on inside various parts of America toward American Blacks. It's 2025 now. So 1925, what was going on in 1925? Still, most other cultures and backgrounds still weren't even in America. And the very few 100 years ago that was in America, their numbers were minuscule. 1925, you still don't have but a piece of what we want to call certain types of Asians. And the main Asians that was in America would have been mostly Chinese, because the Chinese came in around 1840, 1849, which is what they used to call them the 49ers, or that situation. And most of them would have been on certain parts of the California coast, not on the southern coast, not on the panhandle, not on the eastern coast like that. But mostly they were going to be on the western coast. Very small, minuscule people. And they would have been Chinese mostly on that. What we call Irish people, they wouldn't come over until the later parts of the 1800s, basically. Scottish personnel, all this kind of stuff like that. Small parts of 1800s to mid 1800s. But Black Americans were already in this country, still building up this country before many people even existed in America. These little Black adjacent hiders, who know they are, that fled to America because they couldn't sit there and get things done on their own country by people that look like them. Ain't that something? But I've never talking about Black Americans, right? And these little other tethers, right? So there was no such thing as their numbers worth even talking about, right? So Black Americans were still building this country up in the 1900s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, 1800s, mid 1800s, early 1800s, late 1800s, early 1700s, mid 1700s, late 1700s. You get the point. And what was going on all this time? Black pain to Black American men, Black American women. And now through feminists and all this other stuff like that, and these little games that have messed up quite a number of American Black women in modern day, to sit there and act like they don't need a Black male for protection. I don't mean that Black woman can't defend herself. What am I saying? The majority could not in this society with so much hatred going on still by various other people of color, games, and minority who are slick, and they won't go on all that. And you still got KKK type people mentality to various parts of these cultures. They're still around. I make this point before I sit there and show this clip, is that Black men and Black women had to be together collectively in the 1900s, right? On this. Let's keep.
You're not supposed to be on this planet, Negro. What are you doing breathing? Where did you come from? Who created you? Who would have the nerve to create something like you? I mean, who would make that kind of mistake? You're nothing but a walking mistake. My God, deliver me.
And so when stories that Sha'Carri did, then the domestic violence that Sha'Carri did to that simpleton, gullible one, Black man, world-class sprinter, world-class track and field, is an insulting us. Like the situation with the census. I don't want to go into all that. I don't go into all that. So the thing about it is, it's an insulting situation where black men and black women had to collectively stay together less than 100 years ago. But unfortunately, around the 70s is when, after the 60s, where the power structure said, hey, we got to sit there and get these black women to sit there and get on code. I mean, get on illogical code with each other and sit there and fight against their Black American men, right? And how many start thinking they can put hands on black men as well? Because however numbers of Anglo women been putting their hands on their men for however numbers of years, right? See how that goes. So think about it, instead of more black women and black men collectively stand together. When I mean stand together, I'm talking about not just for the heck of it, but as also a protection for one another. And the system said, no, we got to sit there and destroy that overall. So last thing I want to show, because I wasn't going to really show it, is that I want to share my screen on one last thing. Now keep this in mind. Now Sha'Carri Richards, what she did to her simpleton Gumbleton boyfriend, world class. Oh, let me get back. Okay, here we go. Make sure you can see that. This is the last thing I'm gonna show. I think it's extremely important on this last part. Many people have not seen this particular part of it, right? The thing about it is, now the interesting dynamics of the irony. Now, Sha'Carri Richardson has her own internal demons going on within her. Not even a bad looking black woman. She's a nice looking woman, right? But she's messed up and some different things going on with her, right? Messed up in some different things. And she has so much potential to do so much different things, but too many different things going on with her. Not knowing what direction what kind of relationship she want to have half of the time and things like that. What do you mean by that? Again, the domestic abuse assaulting that she did to her simpleton gullible boyfriend, put hands on him. That I've already showed you earlier and read that article. Putting hands on him, pushing him down like he was nothing. She's like 5'1", 5'2". I think he's like 5'9", 5'10". Pure, mostly muscle, and she still pushed him down like he was nothing. An embarrassment. Now, what if he would have landed on his head? What if somewhere he would have turned sideways and landed on his face and knocked out an eyeball or something, or one of his teeth popped out, right? Because the thing people love talking about, well, men are more stronger. Stop, go to hell. That's irrelevant, right? Too many males that sit there and went to the hospital for women slapping the taste buds out of their mouths, kicked in the groin area, punched in the face, teeth knocked out, broken nose. How many got black eyes, orbital in the orbital part of the eyes, broken, wherever it might be? How many males? But again, they want to keep talking about domestic violence. Men do this and do that. Go to hell. So I'll make this point with Sha'Carri Richards. Look at this for a second. Now think of what she did to her boyfriend. Domestic violence him, and the irony of this right here. So again, this is the last thing. Sha'Carri Richardson comeback. Jamaican 100 star Sha'Carri Richardson comeback. This is 2024. Sha'Carri Richardson comeback. Jamaican 100 meter star bags gold at U.S. Championships after battling harassment allegations from ex-partner. Let me read this article again. The headline: Sha'Carri Richardson comeback. Jamaican 100 meter star bags gold at U.S. Championships after battling harassment allegations from her ex-partner on this. Sha'Carri Richardson won the women's 100 meter gold at the U.S. Championship in 10.82 seconds on Friday night, making a victorious comeback to the track. The triumph marked her first national championship after she suffered abuse. After she suffered abuse from her ex-partner, the Jamaican woman, Janique Brown, a year ago. My goodness gracious. And look at on the right side, got that some masculine in them, which is like the most weirdness of stuff that you got people that would get not with feminine other looking ones, but how many numbers of women get with masculine looking ones? But they don't want to deal with a male, but at the same time, how many get with a masculine type looking female? Okay, I guess. But you see that picture, right? So Sha'Carri Richardson did her domestic abuse assaultiness toward her world-class champion track and field black man boyfriend, who unfortunately a simpleton, gullible simpleton, a simpleton, gullible one. And then this last year article, 2024, talks about how Sha'Carri Richardson won the women's 100-meter gold at the U.S. Championships in 10.82 seconds on Friday night, making a victorious comeback to the track. The triumph marked her first national championship after she suffered abuse from her ex-partner, woman, Janique Brown, a year ago. The irony of that. I thank you for tuning in to the Real C. Pete Show.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey? Here, dear.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it?